FFA, good morning, guys. Welcome to this Wednesday morning training call. We're going to talk about the most important thing in your sales presentation. So, quick 10-15 minute phone call with you guys to kick off today, where we just do a deep dive in the absolutely most important section of your presentation, where I see a lot of agents seem to mess it up or skip over it, or they don't say it the right way. So we've been doing a lot of coaching calls here lately, and this has been kind of the hot topic in the presentation where a lot of agents seem to struggle. So I'm going to dive into that with you guys. But before we do that, let's talk about the verse of the day. Okay, it's Ephesians 2:18. It says, "For through him we both have access by one Spirit unto the Father." So guys, check that verse out. Through Jesus, we have access to him, right? How cool is it that we serve a God who gave us direct access to him, a God that actually cares about you, cares about your life, everything that's going on in it. He's the creator, right? And so don't live every single day feeling like he's so far away, right? Or so unobtainable, right? Because through the sacrifice that Jesus gave us, he gave us direct access to him. All right. And so think about that every single day. All right. It don't matter if you have no friends out there in the world, which I know that's not you guys, but say you didn't, you have direct access to him. And that's all you need to get you through every single circumstance that you face in life. So let's talk about this sales presentation. And the most important part, guys, the part that agents seem to struggle with. It's so simple, right? We've all seen this slide. We've talked about it many times on other calls. But this is a slide that I see agents not structuring it the right way. And this is the slide that's going to tell you as an agent within the first 20 minutes of being in the house, if you can actually help them and if you can actually sell them. And even if you're doing telesales, this is a slide that you should be going over with people because it creates the need for the presentation and the phone call in the first place. So guys, let's talk about this slide and let's talk about the word structuring. Every single thing that I say in my presentation leads me to the objective that I want to have happen, which is help that person out with their life insurance. And this slide is really where I set that tone, right? It's where I set that pace of structuring the close at the end of the presentation. So if you're an agent and you seem to always struggle like getting through the presentation, and then at the very end you're getting hit with, I need to think about it, I need to talk it over with my kids, whatever the case is, for some reason you just can't get them to commit. I promise you, you're probably not structuring this beginning slide correctly, and you're probably going through it too quickly. So when you guys speak in a presentation, how you say things matter, right? And you want to create the structure of your potential client agreeing with you. Because if you get them to agree with you on this page, you're going to get them to agree with you when you ask them for their prescriptions, when you ask them for their health, when you ask them to review their current insurance policy that they have. And then at the very end, when you ask them for their banking, when you ask them for their beneficiary, when you ask them to sign the dotted line, you're creating a habit of being on the same page as them and getting them to agree with you. And so this page is so important because if you and your potential client are not together on this page, you're not going to close that sale. You might do a good presentation, but it's not getting closed, right? You're going to get hit with the objections at the end, come back later, let me talk it over with the spouse, whatever it is. So this page is where you structure your entire presentation off of it. Okay. So let's dive through this and how to do it the right way. Okay. So why most people request information. All right. Or if you, let's say you did a neighbor knock and you're not even presenting to a lead, just say, hey, why do most people need help? Right. Number one, they have no current coverage and they desperately need help figuring out a plan. They've always wanted a plan, but they don't know where to go for it. You know, maybe they don't trust people. They don't know where to go to get the protection in place. All right, that's the first one. Notice what I did there. I want to break that sentence down for you guys. If I just said, number one, they don't have coverage. Okay, that's okay, but I'm not structuring anything. I'm not giving them the idea that they need it if they don't have it. And I want to create that need in this page. So notice what I say. I say they don't have coverage, but here's the key, the second part. And they desperately need help to get it. Okay, I always say that line because it's a trigger. All right. And when you're selling, you want that trigger. You want something to flip in that person's brain that they desperately need it. So if you're my client and you don't have coverage, and I say, hey, the first reason is people don't have it, you're thinking, uh-oh, I don't have it. And then I say, and they desperately need help to get it. Now you're thinking, I need help to get it. Okay, so I'm structuring the close at the end of my presentation by saying it that way. And you might notice how slow I'm talking, right? They don't have coverage and they desperately need it. That's how I'm talking, right? In my sales presentation. I'm creating that energy. I'm creating the vibe, the urgency, right? By the way that I talk. So that's key. You have to say that, guys. Or if you just say, hey, they don't have coverage, and you move on to the next thing, that person's thinking, yeah, I don't have it. But you didn't create that trigger of they desperately need it. All right. Number two, they have coverage, but they're fearful it's not enough. Right? Miss Betty, this is the person that, you know, you took it out years ago. You're good, but you know how expensive everything has gotten. And we both know it's probably not enough. Right? Guys, I'm creating another trigger. So now for all my people I'm sitting with that already have coverage, right? They're thinking, yeah, that's cool. I've got it. But then I kick in and I say, with how expensive everything has gotten, which is true, life insurance is the most undersold thing out of anything out there. No, people do not have enough of it, right? If Miss Betty wants a burial and she's got a $10,000 plan and she's 65 years old, that's not going to cover half of it when she's 85. Okay. So it's not enough insurance, right? So they're fearful and they know it's not enough. What did I just do there? That trigger triggers the person that has it, but now they know I've got it, but it's not enough. That's a problem, right? I've just created a problem and a need that they may not have had in their head. Maybe they thought, I'm good, I've got it, whatever, right? But now they realize it's not enough. Guys, think about how expensive final expense costs are going to be 20 years from now. I bet the average funeral is close to 30 grand 20 years. It'd probably be even more than that, right? Most of the people you're sitting with, guys, they've got insurance for right now or for years ago when they took it out. They're not thinking about what's it going to be in 30 years, right? So you gotta create that vibe. You've got to create that structure. Now, one thing that I do after each one of these items, right? 1, 2, and 3, is I'm always nodding my head. And I know you might think, hey, it's silly. Like we're getting way too scientific here, but I promise you it works. If I say, Miss Betty, this person has coverage, notice what my head's doing. and they know it's not enough. 9 out of 10 times, the person I'm talking to starts nodding their head with me. And now I just created what's called a soft close. They're agreeing with me by nodding their head like I'm nodding my head that they don't have enough coverage. What that does, if I see somebody nodding with me when I'm going over this slide, I sold it. Like, I'm good. I know I'm walking away with a policy. I will know if I'm going to close a deal within when I'm on this page. When I go through this page, I'm not even worried about if I'm closing it or not after this page. I know I'm closing it. I know I've got the angle. Doesn't matter what the angle is because all three of them are in here. If they're agreeing with me, they're not in their head like I'm not in my head, the deal's closed. Okay. But I create that agreeance when I go through each one of these things. They don't have, look at my head, right? They don't have coverage and they desperately need it. I start seeing my client's head nod. They have coverage, but they know it's not enough. The head's nodding, the deal's closed. All right. That's a trigger. That's a key to me. If their head's not nodding and I'm not connected with them, I need to small talk, go back, chit chat about something totally different than the presentation and come back to this page. Okay. So I need them on the same page with me. I need them agreeing with me when I'm going through these. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting their time because when I go past this page, we're doing it all for nothing because I'm not closing the deal if they're not on the same page with me on this slide. All right. And the third one, all right, Miss Betty, is they're good, right? They've got money in the bank. Maybe they've got savings, they've paid things off, but they really need a dedicated plan to pay for a burial or a cremation so that they or their kids aren't using their inheritance money, their savings, all of this stuff, right? Just a dedicated plan. Let's make the insurance company pay for that versus you spending your hard-earned money on it, right? That would be pretty cool. Wouldn't you agree to have a dedicated plan that just pays this for you? Notice what I did there. That would be pretty cool. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not in my head to have a dedicated plan that just lets the insurance company pay this for you guys. Always shaking their head yes. I don't think I've ever had somebody shake their head no and say that that's not cool. Everybody's like, yeah, heck yeah, make the insurance company pay for it, right? So that's how I talk about this slide. And the key things here, guys, is I go through each one of those three. Every time I go over 1, 2, and 3, each one has a trigger at the end of it that I'm getting them to agree with me. Because once they tell me which one they are, right? So I go through those three. Then I'll say, now, Miss Betty, based off of those situations, which one are you in right now? And they'll think for a minute, well, oh, I've got coverage, right? Or I don't have anything, right? When they do that, I want to reinforce their decision because I'm going to put this slide up here again, guys. I don't want to move past this slide until me and my potential client are on the same page with what situation they're in. Like, we're going to chit chat. This is the slide I spend the most amount of time on in the presentation. We need to know Miss Betty moving forward needs to know exactly which one of these she is. So we know what direction we're going in the rest of the presentation. So let's say Miss Betty hits me, like most people, right, are going to have insurance. If they don't have insurance, they're just going to tell you, hey, I don't have coverage. Your reply is perfect, Miss Betty. I know that's probably been worrying you. I'm going to get that fixed for you. I just got to ask you a few questions. Then you jump into the next slide, the field underwriting. All right. But let's say she has coverage. All right. And we'll wrap it up after this one. But if Miss Betty says, oh, I don't know which one I am, I have coverage. That's usually what they're going to say. I need to reinforce the idea that it's probably not enough. So if Miss Betty says, oh, Ryan, yeah, I got insurance, I'm good. I'm going to say, perfect, Miss Betty. Because you have that, you may be entitled to extra coverage at no additional cost to you based off the carrier you have and the plan that they have you in. We'll get it fixed for you. I know you could probably agree, right? With how expensive things are, it could potentially not be enough. I'm reiterating it's not enough because I don't want to move past this slide with somebody that has coverage if they're not agreeing with me that they don't have enough. Why don't I want to do that? Because there's no need for the presentation. If they tell me, I'm good, I've got it, it's enough, I'm going to high five them and walk away because I'm not going to waste my time, right? You have to have them agree. Yeah, well, I mean, it would be pretty cool if I could get extra at no cost. It might not be enough. Now, when we go through the presentation, the deal is closed. We're going to review the plan and probably put them in a better spot. They probably didn't even know what they were in the first place, right? They could get more coverage. Maybe they're overpaying, right? Reduce paid up. There's lots of options to get people more coverage at no extra cost. And we'll go through that whole thing with them. But we got to be on the same page. We can't be against the client. On this page, if they're like, oh, I've got coverage, and you say, who do you have? You're probably paying too much. You might as well pack up your binder and leave the house because you just butchered your presentation. Okay. Guys, this is not the time to do what I call like taking the bait. All right. When you're fishing, you put the line out there and you start noticing like the fish is nibbling on your bait. The very first nibble you get, you ain't yanking the rod out and trying to close it and catch the fish, right? You're letting it take it, and then boom, they grab onto it, pull it underwater, and that's when you yank it out. You don't yank it out, right? Until you get into you do the field underwriting, the policy review, you go through all of that. That's when you get into their coverage. But don't take the bait. Guys, on this page, the biggest mistake I see you make is when they say, oh, I've got coverage. You instantly forget the whole rest of the presentation and you're like, well, which company is it? How much do you have? What are you paying? Blah, blah, blah. You just took all of your power you've built, gave it to the client, and gave them the opportunity to go nowhere with it. So don't take the bait. If they say, hey, I've got coverage, all you say, you don't even ask what company it is. Not at this point. You just say, hey, that's perfect. Because you have that, you're probably going to be entitled to extra coverage at no extra cost to you. Potentially, I'm going to get that fixed for you. I just got to ask you a few questions. And then, boom, you go to this slide and you do your field underwriting. You don't skip this slide and jump into this slide. You got to go in order, guys. If you're reviewing the plan before you even have any of the field underwriting done, you're not going to close a lot of deals. So don't take the bait on that page. But guys, that's the most important slide in the whole presentation. Make sure you're giving that trigger on each one. Your client's agreeing with you. And then you move forward and you don't take the bait, because I promise you take that bait, you're not going to catch the fish. All right. It's just like if you yank your rod out too early. So think about it, practice it. The more you practice this, the better you're going to get. When you're doing your presentations today, start nodding your head when you want them to agree with you and watch them do it back. All right. So I'm telling you, they're going to do it back. So get them on the same page. That way you're serving them the best way. If you're not on the same page, you're wasting your client's time. Nobody likes their time to be wasted. Do the presentation right and watch your production take off. Watch your income double once you start doing this the right way. So appreciate you guys for jumping on here. It's Wednesday. Quick training call for you. Let's go crush today. Drop where you're at so far for the week in the WhatsApp chat, and we'll be back here on Friday.